I think we can all agree a rule of thumb that if you're in a hole, you should stop digging. But it would seem to me that Kemi Badenoch of the Conservative Party is not adhering to that rule. Because last night I picked up this story from GB News. Oddly enough, a story about Kemi Badenoch reportedly sitting down with the CEO of GB News and reportedly demanding that Nigel Farage should get less airtime because it should not be a safe haven for her critics. This is what was said. It's utterly bizarre, but this is what was said on GB News last night.
Says Kemi Badenoch's unprecedented feud with Nigel Farage escalated last night over claims she urged the head of a television station to cut the airtime given to the Reform UK leader. The Tory leader is said to have accused GB News of giving too much of a platform to her critics and raised the spectre of regulatory action. The revelation comes amid the row over Mr Farage's claim that his party has more members than the Tories, which Mrs Badenoch has branded fake. Sources told the Mail on Sunday that the broadcaster's chief executive was called into Westminster before Christmas for a chat with Mrs Badenoch, but during the meeting she made it clear GB News should not be, quote, a haven for my critics.
And so I've obviously had one or two messages about this as well overnight, and asking the question, is there any law that dictates or restricts how much airtime an MP can have on a given TV station? Because, of course, Nigel Farage has his regular slot on GB News. And the simple answer is no. There is no law that says any one MP or another cannot have a certain amount of airtime on TV and these regular slots and so on. Now, of course, during election time, the news stations have to abide by due impartiality, which they have to, for the vast majority of the time, they have to comply with rules and whatever. And GB News is no stranger to criticism in that regard. Not saying that it is founded criticism. In fact, I would look with a fairly critical eye at some of those criticisms, but maybe I'll talk about that more in other videos. I think I have already talked about it in at least one video that I can recall. But overall, there is no law that says that an MP cannot have that much airtime. Now, as the Streisand effect would have it, it also now appears to be reported. Well, not only that it seems that Kemi Badenoch is dismissing this claim as nonsense, which I really don't understand how that can be just dismissed out of hand. Now, if she had that meeting with the CEO of GB News, then how can that be dismissed out of hand? Because if she did bring in Angelos Frangopoulos for a meeting and discuss the amount of airtime that Nigel Farage had on GB News, that should be a matter of record somewhere, surely. And then, ironically, if that is true, then ironically, the only peep really coming out of Kemi Badenoch since then is about rebuilding trust and how rebuilding trust takes time and patience. Now, this obviously doesn't appear, this post from her doesn't appear to be directed at this spat, but it comes up at a time where some people may feel that rebuilding trust is necessary if she's made claims, those claims being about the numbers of membership to Reform UK, which were independently verified by a number of news organisations after she called them out as being fake and hasn't yet responded to that and hasn't apologised for that, then posts about rebuilding trust and that taking time. Now, I would hope that either she has something to back up what she said or that she would accept that it was wrong and form an apology. But that's not my place to say. I don't know for 100% certain what that case is, but what I do know is that these news organisations, including Sky News, The Telegraph, etc., have said that it's been independently verified to them as being correct. So the irony here is somewhat uncanny. But furthermore, in true Streisand effect, which is if you want something to go away, you'd better keep quiet about it, because if you complain about it, then you're more likely to get hundreds and thousands and perhaps even millions of people hearing about it, as is very often the case here on this channel. Stories about that to follow very shortly. In true Streisand effect, this is now reported by the Times to be driving 6,000 new members to Reform UK each and every day. Now, this video, some people will criticise me for saying that I'm promoting Reform UK here. That's not what I'm doing, but the irony is this. I don't need to be promoting Reform UK for more people to be hearing about Reform UK because Kemi Badenoch is complaining about Reform UK. You get the point, because when something hits the media, more and more people hear about it, and if they do or say something which is trying to stifle that conversation, it just blows up even more, and more people hear about it, and that is what seems to be driving, if I can bring this on screen here, I'll move it to the right hand side and share the screen, seems to be what is driving 6,000 members to join Reform UK each and every day, now having surpassed 150,000 members. In fact, we can check the live counter as it stands right now. That is now 150, almost 155,000 members. Now, as someone, me, who has been growing a YouTube channel for quite some time now, to grow a number of 100,000 followers, members, subscribers, whatever, it takes a lot of effort. So that's commendable, whether you support Reform UK or not. That is a commendable growth, and certainly outstripped the Conservative Party membership. And that ostensibly is why Kemi Badenoch is probably upset about it, and made some statements or complaints about it in the round in general terms. But in doing so, true strides in effect, they've now grown in size. But a long, very winded way of saying that MPs have no legal restrictions generally on where they can go and talk and etc. It is, however, down to those stations to ensure that they are complying with due impartiality, invite on critics and opposing views and so on. That is if they are registered and regulated and so on. I, on the other hand, am completely independent. I can pretty much say what I like. I try to remain neutral and unbiased on this channel. I don't always achieve that. I'm only human. But if you do like this abrupt approach, do subscribe to the channel. If you want my personal thoughts on these things, I might get quite opinionated on there. Subscribe to Black Belt Secrets in the description below, and I'll be grateful for that too. I'm racing towards 200,000 subscribers over there, and I'm just about to hit 700,000 subscribers here. So thank you very much for that, and also thank you for watching.